Welcome, 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 everybody. It is time for the Love Experience Show. And today's episode is titled or called At Last. And I really hope you guys are going to enjoy this. I know you will because these are two of my favorite people, my Uncle Mark and my Aunt Karen. Y'all want to hop on and say hey to everybody?
Hello.
Hello.
They are here to share their story with you guys. So you want to go ahead and take over with the introduction?
Mark, she's uncle.
That's it. I'm Karen, his wife.
All right. They are
Ashes. Yeah.
modest today. So quiet. Y'all can act regular.
Okay.
All right. So you guys, been okay. Tariq and I have been married for almost 5 years. Y'all been married for 6, almost 7, right?
Almost seven.
Almost 7, yeah.
That y'all about to be out of the 7-year itch.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's crazy. 7 years.
I know that went by really, really fast.
Yeah, it did.
I just thought about it like early this year. I'm still thinking it's like 5 or 6. And I was like, wow, it's going to be 7 years already.
Yep. That's what I said.
Crazy.
It's going to be 5 already.
Mm-hmm. 3 more years will be the Big 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So you guys, I'll say this, when you guys got married and got engaged, because we got engaged around the same time. You guys just got married, I think, like a year before us. But you guys, when I saw that, I was so happy. One, for my uncle, because can I say this? You were you found the right person. I'll say it like that. I was happy for you because of that. And from what I heard, because when you guys got married, I still didn't meet Aunt Karen, but from what I was hearing from everybody else, you were such a sweet person and the perfect person for my uncle.
Oh.
Yes.
So,
she definitely was. She definitely is, excuse me. But it's funny because I always tease her about because we worked together for a while. I don't know if I'm going ahead to what you want to go.
No, go ahead.
We worked together for a while, and I was good friends with another person that she worked with at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But she would always have this serious, it looked like mean look, like she don't want to be bothered. And I used to always walk past her, like, I ain't trying to say nothing to her. She might bite my head off or something.
And that wasn't the case, though. I was in nursing school, and being a single mom at the time, and being in nursing school full-time, working full-time, taking care of 2 kids by myself, I did not have time to make friends or, I was focused on my schoolwork.
Right.
So even at work, when he used to come by the desk, because he used to be by the desk every day at work, he would come by the desk and just lean up on the desk and chit-chatting with my best friend at the time. So we were casual friends, but he used to tease me. His other friends used to tease me, like, why are you always so serious? And I'm like, because I'm focused.
Yeah, definitely. She just had that serious look that is kind of almost intimidating. That's why I probably didn't say that. So
you know what? I've had people say that I have that same exact look. And it's like they tell me they used to tell me all the time, like, I really didn't want to come talk to you because you were going to bite my head off.
That's how I felt. But over time, we would have like different events with people at work, and then we would meet up and start talking to each other and getting to know each other more. And then it's funny because she ended up moving to Florida, and we went out to dinner. Her best friend and another guy, and Naya at the time. We had went to Fridays, and she was moving to Florida, and we just talking back and forth. And she was in Florida. She kept in touch with me, and then over time we just got more and more close talking. And
so you're not gonna tell about the part when you like before I went to Florida?
What part is that?
Mm-hmm. So the day we went to dinner, when I was saying my goodbyes, I gave him a hug and he goes, "Oh, so you're just gonna leave me like that?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He was like, "You're just gonna move away and leave me like that?" I'm like, "Well, we can still chit chat because we used to chit chat on Facebook, or I didn't have his phone number at the time, but we used to chit chat on Facebook on Messenger." And I'm like, "Well, we could still talk on Facebook." He goes, "Well, not like that. You're just gonna leave me?" I'm like, "Well, I'm just a phone call away."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
But I guess he's shy or was shy. Because at the time, maybe he did like me, but I didn't know. I
don't know. Were you shy? Were you nervous to say anything?
I don't know, because I don't think it was about being shy. It was just I really didn't know what she was thinking or feeling at the time. So it was just like everything just naturally happened. It wasn't like, I was like I definitely got to pursue her or push toward it. Just everything just seemed to like naturally happen. It just fell into place.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about how everything started to fall into place.
Well, like I said, she moved to Florida. We were just chit-chatting for a little while. Nothing big. How you doing? What's going on? How's everything been? And then eventually, like she said, we was going back and forth on like Facebook and stuff like that. And then we exchanged numbers or whatever. And we started to talk more and more. And then, as time went on, we realized we really, like each other. We had a lot of, things in common. And like I said, everything just meshed and like fell into place. And it was quick.
It wasn't like, sometimes you force something and then you have to like keep forcing at it for it to work. It didn't feel like that. It felt natural and easy and everything just flows right. It wasn't nothing. I didn't feel rushed or pushed or forced, even when we were just chit-chatting.
And then we would, over time, it went from, as it started to progress, then she would come up to Boston to visit me. And then, like every once in a while, when she could get time off or whatever, and things just got more and more intense. And it was funny because I remember the first time when she came to Boston, back to Boston, and when I picked her up at the airport, and I still remember that first kiss. It was crazy. I never forgot.
Did she take the wind out of your tongue?
It was like we had been. It's like we were actually together already before we were actually together, and it was like we hadn't seen each other in years. That's what it felt like.
Okay.
And it was like so passionate and crazy. Then it just took it even to another level.
So she took your breath away with that kiss.
Yep.
Oh, you never told me that. You never told me that.
And then I remember when her leaving the first time. Oh my goodness.
Were you sad?
Yeah, I was sad. You were sad.
I mean, I was sad. I know that. See, guys don't like to show their emotion, and sometimes we like to see it.
It's funny because she cried when she had to leave, like we was never gonna see each other again. And I'm like trying to play tough. Oh, it's gonna be all right. You see me again. And then I'm driving down the highway. You try to play tough or whatever, and because you don't want to look weak or whatever. But I'm driving down the highway.
You never told me that. See, you be hiding stuff.
So, okay, I know about that because, Tariq and I was long distance for a year. So we would fly back and forth to see each other. But when he left or if I left, it was like, okay, what am I going to do now? Like, what's going on? I miss having that body right there. Like that. So I know what y'all talking about.
Yeah, that's funny.
What did Tyreek play it off to like he was a tough guy?
Probably knowing him. But waited until we got on the phone and say, "Yeah, I miss you too. Yeah, I know. Yeah."
Men and their emotions.
But I think at the same time, I think that kind of helped to make us even closer by having that distance, because we appreciate it so much more when we were together, because we had that time apart and we rarely grew to miss each other and couldn't wait to see each other when the time came.
Yep.
I absolutely get it. So how long would you say it took you guys from the time that Aunt Karen went to Florida to the point where we're talking right now about, you guys missing each other? You said it was pretty quick. So what was kind of the timeline?
So I moved to Florida in October of 2013. And, we started talking more and more. I think I came back to Boston in February. That February.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I can't remember.
Yeah, exactly. The first time I came back up was the February, and that was when everything kind of went. We pressed the gas on everything.
Okay.
Then
it was
and
quick.
Then then I think I came back up in March. When you told me.
Oh yeah, for my birthday. Yep.
Yep, and the engagement.
Yeah.
That I didn't know about. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So.
Yeah, I got her good on that one.
You did.
So.
Oh my gosh, that engagement, that whole weekend was just so stressful.
Why?
Go ahead. So before I came up from Florida, he told me, when you're coming up, bring something nice to wear. We're gonna go out somewhere nice. And I'm like, okay. So I bought this, it's like a black dress. The top of it was white with lace, strapless. And I'm like, okay, this is if we're going to a really upscale restaurant or whatnot. So came up the weekend, we went out to dinner. I wore the dress, we went out to dinner, and I'm like, okay, we went to dinner, then we went to the Blue Men's group. And when we walk in,
you know what the Blue Men group is?
Yeah.
When we walk in, one of the hostess met us at the door and she goes, "Oh, we have something special for you guys. We want you to sit upstairs." And I'm like, "What? Why?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, it's gonna happen here in public. Everybody can sit." So I was sweating bullets the whole night. And then we just went upstairs. And the whole time I'm looking, I'm like, okay, when is it gonna happen? Then they came back and got us. And I guess we were just part of their show, basically. But it didn't happen that night. And I'm like, okay, so, well, maybe it's not gonna happen. Maybe it's the next trip. So the next day he goes, "Oh, I'm going to my sister. We're gonna just go meet up with my sister for dinner." And I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Right.
Okay.
So then my best friend at the time, she was like, "Oh, Aileen's coming too." And I'm like, "Oh, well, I mean, that's cool because I haven't, I'm here in Boston. At least, two birds, one stone.
Mm-hmm.
I get to spend time with my best friend. I get to spend time with him." So we got there, we had dinner. He gave me a gift, my first Invicta watch. And I'm like, "Oh, this is really nice." Then he was like, "I'm going to take the watch upstairs and adjust the strap for you." And I'm like, okay. Then all I heard was, "Oh, we need everybody upstairs in the TV room." So I'm like, okay, went up. And he played this video. And I'm like, what is going on?
I don't know.
So it was like a video proposal. And then him getting down on one knee. And I'm like, what is going on? He goes, "If you look closer in the bag, there's something else in the bag."
That was on the video.
Yeah, I remember the video.
Yes. Crazy, 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 crazy.
The ring was actually underneath the box.
Yep.
Well, in between the
tissue paper,
the tissue and everything that held the watch in place. And I knew she wasn't going to open up the whole thing. So just look at, not normally anybody would just open, "Oh my God, nice watch."
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what I did. And I'm like, there's nothing else in the bag.
She did that. We was downstairs in the kitchen when we did that.
Mm-hmm.
And we was down there for another 15 minutes or so before we ended up going upstairs. And I knew I couldn't even stop smiling, but she didn't realize I'm sitting up there smiling for what? She didn't say to herself, "Why is she cheesing so much?" or whatever. And that's when I went upstairs. I had put that video. I was trying to think for like a couple of weeks. How am I gonna propose to her? And I decided to do a video. And that's when I put the explanation in. I was like, as you see, I bought you a watch, blah blah blah, this, that, and the other. But if you look closely, there's something else in there. And then she opened it up, and I got on one knee, proposed, and Mrs. Walker's right here.
Oh. Yes. So, all right, for those who are watching it, don't have that. That's not part of the family. Tell us, Aunt Karen, what your thoughts were as you were watching the video and as Uncle Mark was telling you to look closer in the bag. What were your thoughts? What were you feeling?
Well, we had talked about getting married before, because I told him I don't date casually. So whenever I get into a relationship, there has to be a marriage on the table. I can't just be a girlfriend.
Right.
I don't want to be just a girlfriend. I should be good enough to be your wife. So we had went into lengthy conversations way before that. But because the day before I was expecting, the ring the day before, I actually completely put it out of my mind. So while I was watching the video, and I'm like, oh my God, this is it. It's happening. It's happening right now. My heart was about to jump out of my chest. Was literally about to jump out of my chest. And I'm like, oh my gosh, finally, someone who got it right.
Finally.
Yeah. Finally, somebody got it right. Someone who got it right, who got me, who got it right. Finally. So yeah, it was a surprise, and it was a really good surprise.
It was. It made me cry when I saw the video because I was just so happy for you guys. So, how did you know that you were ready to get married?
Like I said, just talking to her and seeing that she was always like an independent person. I knew her. She was always strong, and when I got to talk to her over time and hear her, like relationships that she'd been through, similar to some of the stuff that I've been through, that we experienced, and the connection that we had, just going back and forth, and how everything was just clicking so well. And I was like, I've been in plenty of relationships, and there's been times when I thought I was in love, but I really wasn't. But with her, it was like I just knew. I can't even explain it really. It's just that a feeling that I'd never had before. And I was like, yeah, she's the one. And I was going to go all out to do what I had to do to make sure I made her Mrs. Walker. But like I said, it just over time. I know it was very fast. And me, I wasn't gonna just marry anybody. There was people that I thought about it, but I never was gonna just marry anybody. When I was gonna get married, I was like, it's definitely gonna be a for sure thing, and not no question, should I or do I? It was a definite thing, and I just loved everything about her, and I just want to, like I said, make her Mrs. Walker. I really, really, really was sure about what I wanted, and she had everything that I liked within her, and I was like, yeah, she's definitely the one.
So let me ask you this: when you first met her, did you know automatically then? No. Okay. Because
like I said,
a lot of guys say that they do. So
yeah. When I first met her, like I said, I used to always see her, and I used to talk to her best friend at the time, and we was, always cool. But I never really, I would say hi and stuff like that, but I wouldn't like get into a conversation with her. And it was funny because I would be walking past her all the time for years.
7 years.
I always knew I thought she was pretty and everything and all that. But like I said, she used to have that intimidating look, and I used to be like, nah, I'm not even gonna waste my time. But
for 7 years, he would walk past my desk for 7 years.
It wasn't until she was getting ready to go to Florida when I had that first feeling like, oh wow, she's not as rough on the outside as I thought she was. She was, was really sweet, really, held a good conversation and all that stuff. And she was, a God-loving woman, and she always had God first. Her and her entire family, which is, big in our family, as you know. And that was big to me. And in prior relationships, one thing that I always cherish is my family, my immediate family, like you guys and my sisters and brothers and all that. In prior relationships, I used to have, problems with other women that I was in relationships. So they didn't like the fact, a couple of them, how close I was with my family. And they were like, that's something that I would not accept if I was going to marry somebody. And she wasn't nothing like that. She was a family person just like me. And I told her from the beginning, she already knew as far as how I was with my family. And she accepted that from the beginning.
Yep.
And that's like one of the biggest things for me.
Mine too.
Yeah.
Because I've been in a relationship where family members was in desperate need of something and their own family wouldn't do it or wouldn't give it. And I'm like, that's your family. You're supposed to be there for your family no matter what.
Right.
No matter what. So when I found out that he was really family oriented, a lot of people, I'm family oriented, but do you really know what that means? Do you really know, when your family's in need, and not just when they're in need, you're supposed to reach out, check in, do what you can for your family. And a lot of people just say, oh, I'm family oriented, but they don't speak to their family members. They don't help out when they can, or, But when I found out that he was in tune with his family, I was like, yes, okay, good.
I think that anybody that belongs, anybody that's in our family, that's probably a requirement because we're all so close. And we like to have a good time with each other. So I think that is a requirement probably for everybody who got married in our family. I know it was for me. And Tariq, they talk, his family, they talk whatever, but it's not quite the way we are. Like we talk all the time and we all, we just have a whole lot of fun. Not saying that they don't have fun, but you can kind of tell the difference a little bit.
Yeah.
So when he first got around us, he was kind of in awe because that wasn't something that he experienced. He was like, first of all y'all are loud.
That's for sure. Oh my goodness, that's for sure.
He was like, y'all sound like a whole house full of people and it's only 5 of y'all or something like that. So but he can tell, like you can tell whenever anybody is around us that's not part of our family, you can tell the love that we have for each other. And I said all of that just to say that, it's important to have somebody who meets those type of standards.
Definitely.
Guideline.
Like just to bring up a example, I lived with somebody before that I was in a relationship with, and Ida can tell you there was one time we had a storm and they had lost power and they had no power for a few days and no hot water and stuff like that. And I invited them at that time when it was her and Nick, I believe. And Nick was going to school and stuff. And he needed to take a shower and stuff. And I was like, come over to my house, whatever. Take a shower, whatever. We got warm water because we had, lights and, all that stuff. So we told her to stay over there, whatever. And then when she was ready to go, she could go. And that turned into a big fight with me and that prior person because she didn't want nobody over there. And me and her had a big argument. And she said to me one time, I wouldn't even invite my mother over here. I'm looking at her, I was like, this is over. I'm like, there's no way I could say something like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, that was just one experience I could talk about.
Now you guys touched on it a little bit, but tell me how your relationship with each other is different from other relationships that you've been in.
Well, on my part, he's not abusive. I was in a verbally abusive relationship and obsessive. the person was possessive, obsessive, and verbally abusive. And I left, thank God, before it was too late, because when my toddler at the time would wake up in the middle of the night, Mommy, Daddy, stop arguing, stop fighting. My little 3-year-old, I'm like, I cannot let my daughter grow up and see that this is what relationship is supposed to be like, or this is what a relationship is supposed to look like. So I'm like, I had to get them out of that environment. So to be in a relationship now where we barely argue, I don't think we've ever had like a big blowout. We've never had a big blowout.
That's one.
We have our differences, but we've never had a big blowout. You know, and my other relation, my previous marriage, it was terrible. I was in nursing school at the time, and every week when I have an exam, he would pick a fight the night before. It never failed. Like right before my big exam, we have this big blowout. And I did 1 semester in nursing school at the time. This was in 2008. And I couldn't do the second semester. I passed that first semester, thank God. And I went to my advisor at the time, and I'm sitting there bawling my eyes out. And she's like, you're not the first person to come to me with something like this. So she's like, do what you had to do. And I'm like, all right. It was the December. I remember going to church New Year's Eve, and I'm at church, and I'm bawling. I'm not, when you're in church and you do that pretty cry. No, I was in church bawling my eyes out, and I'm like, Lord, there's no way you put me on this earth to be this miserable, to be in a relationship that is not healthy at all. There's no way. New Year's Day, I was on my way to work. I sat in the car and I turned my face, I'm saying, I'm done. Right there, I was like, I'm done. I filed for a divorce, and then, I don't know, it just happened so perfectly because Naya was finishing kindergarten, going into first grade. Giselle was finishing up middle school, going into high school. So I just wait for the full transition, and we just transitioned. Took my kids, and I moved into the suburbs, away from it was bad. I dropped out of school to, get my foot in, and then I went back. So from that relationship to this, we've not had a big blowout. We've had our differences. He's good to my kids. We've had our differences, where we disagree, but we come back. It's completely different from my other relationship.
So how long would you say it took you to heal from those relationships until the time you met?
A while. I didn't trust anybody. I did not trust anybody. Actually, for me and Mark, my best friend at the time, she was like, you know what, give it a try. He might be different. Just give it a try. Take a shot, go for it. And I'm like, I really can't be bothered, because the relationship before Mark, the guy, it wasn't abusive. His lifestyle compared to my lifestyle, we just didn't click. He drinks like a fish. He drinks like a fish. And his lifestyle and the constant swearing, and I'm like, I can't do. It's like my ears would bleed. And I'm like, yeah, this is not for me. This is definitely not for me. That was a quick relationship. And I'm like, yeah, so at that point, I'm like, I'm done. I'm done with guys. I'm done with men. I'm just going to be a old, dried up, withered woman. My friend at the time, she was like, just take a chance. He said, well, he's a really good guy. He's a really nice guy, and he's a good guy. And I'm like, I really can't. I really don't want to be bothered. But then, our on and off conversations on Facebook, hi, how you doing? Chit chatting. And I remember when our conversation really started to get serious, that Thanksgiving. And he was like, oh, I think he was going to Jersey or Philly.
Oh yeah.
That Thanksgiving. Yep.
That was at Chrissy's house. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, this relationship is completely different from, yeah.
Yes.
That's good. So what about you, Aunt?
Uh, well, I was in plenty of different relationships, and like I said before, I didn't realize what love was actually until I really met her. I thought I did. I think in some cases it was different things that were uh, maybe keeping me in relationships and stuff like that, but it definitely wasn't love. I don't think. Uh, I was in, you might know, in one relationship in particular where I thought I had a child with this person,
Yeah.
and I was so enamored with her and uh, thinking I was in love right off the bat. You know, your mother, your mother and them they picked up right on the beginning when they first met her. Like, yeah, you might want to get a test or whatever,
DNA test.
DNA test, and I wasn't trying to hear it. I just want to be with her. I didn't care what anybody said, blah blah blah, this and the other. Um, no matter how many things she did wrong to me, like, constant lies. It's almost like they always say like the women fall for that stuff. Men go through that too, and that's what happened with me. I was believing everything she was telling me. For years, I took care of this kid from a baby. Until about, I don't know what. Yeah, he was like
He was big,
5,
right?
6. Yeah, he was. I took care of him for years, and even when we first started, I introduced him to Karen. It was like, this is my son, whatever.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, when we first started, and eventually I can't meet her, had to talk about it, and we was talking. I decided I should try to get a test, and when I tried to get the test, she wouldn't do the test. So that gave me the answer without pretty much right there. That told me, that pretty much answered what I need to know. Because if he was mine for sure, you would have no problem with doing that.
Yeah.
But that relationship was probably like the worst relationship I've ever had. It affected everybody, from my sisters and, Ida, Colleen. They could not stand her.
I don't think anybody could.
I don't think anybody could. Like, yeah, nobody could. And even when we got married, I don't know if you know about the incident where she actually stole.
Yeah, I know about
He
that.
stole pictures and stuff from Karen's page and made a personal page with it. Talking about Marcus and Nia and Trezell and her. And of course she denied it, but when she was confronted by I call her my stepsister. She was confronted by her. But
what
yeah.
Spider-Man has the blue
okay. Yeah, I remember all of that. How long were y'all together?
Oh,
it seemed like it was a long time.
It was. I would say 2001 to about 2006 or 7, somewhere around there.
Okay. That's crazy. Okay, what would you guys say to anybody who may have been maybe in an abusive relationship, or a guy, Uncle Mark, who is in a situation where they don't like, not they don't like, but the girl is just controlling and manipulative and lying. That's abuse.
Still abuse. Exactly.
Yeah,
that's still abuse. And a lot of guys don't fess up when they're being abused by women because they feel like, I'm the guy, I'm supposed to be the strong backbone and I'm supposed to be tough and stuff, but men get abused too.
Yeah, that pretty much was me, even though I don't call it abuse.
It is abuse.
But that's pretty much what it was with me, because she was manipulating me against my own family. She would tell me stuff that I remember snapping on Ida one time when she said Ida did something. I can't remember exactly what it was. And I called Ida and I went crazy. And I remember Ida was crying and I did talk to her for a little bit, and I was, she would do stuff like that that would make me,
question everything.
Yeah, question everything, and it was like she was trying to keep me, almost like separate me,
isolate,
separate
that's
me.
Part of the move, isolation.
Exactly.
That's it. That's abuse.
So anybody that I was close with, she would try to do stuff to make me think, and I would at the time, because I was so out of it, and then with her, I would fall for it, unfortunately, and that happens to men, like y'all said, more often than we realize.
Or they're willing to admit.
Or willing to admit, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me say two things. One, I seen it at least twice in therapy. When we were still going into the office, it was two guys, and they still tried to put that strong I'm a guy armor on, but listening to the story, it's like, how are you taking this?
Mm-hmm.
How are you taking it? It's okay if you want to break down and cry right now. Like, I'm not going to judge you.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely, I've seen it, and the manipulation that goes on behind it with women abusing men is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, I want to ask you, so how long did it take you to get over that relationship? Did you had a relationship after that?
Yes. When did I go into? I would say maybe a year or two after I got into another relationship. But she was still trying to get me back at that time, but I had moved on. And my family appreciated it.
Yeah, we did.
But yeah, it was a couple of years. I mean, I was dating, but I wasn't like in no serious relationship for like another 2 years, I would say, after that relationship.
So did that relationship affect the future relationships that you got into? Like Aunt Karen said, she didn't trust anybody. How were you
No,
able?
it wasn't. There was no problem with trust. My thing was, it just made me even more closer with my family, and that's where I come in when I was talking about, that's so important to me. It was because that was one of the things that pushed me to that point. Like, I don't want to be ever not be there for my family. I know, like me and Karen's first, God, and then Karen.
Mm-hmm.
But I would never put after that anybody before my family. So that relationship, the only thing that I was able to get over that stuff, the biggest thing that it did was made me even closer to my family. Because for a while, they'll tell you I didn't talk to none of them for a long time.
I remember.
For a good few, I'd say 6 months probably. I wasn't talking to them.
Wow.
Because of that. And that, like I said, that's what made me even more of a family person than I am right now. That was the biggest thing that came out of that relationship. I have no lingering effects or anything about trust or anything because of it.
This is good, guys. Thank you for being so transparent.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going to move to the happier side of things. So you guys got engaged, and now it's time to plan the wedding and families to meet. So were you nervous about your families meeting and getting along with each other?
I was nervous because I know he was very close with his family. So I'm like, if I don't get in good, then this is all for nothing. So I'm like, I have to be on my best behavior and everything. And then was it Nisi?
Yeah.
It was like, if you get past Nisi, then you're good. So I'm like, okay, all right. Yeah, but the first meeting, you know, I was like, all right, I planned my outfit, everything, you know, perfect. And actually, I was nervous, but then when we got there and we started talking, I felt like, okay, there's no need to be nervous. You know, it's like we just fell into a conversation, and the conversation was just flowing.
I'm trying to remember when the first time was.
When we went to Fox and Hound, and
yeah, was that? What was that from? What was that? Was that my birthday?
No, it was the first time I came up.
I'm trying to remember what the event was. It
wasn't an event. It was just meeting your family.
Okay.
Meeting your family.
Yeah, because some of them, I think it was probably Colleen. For some reason, she thought I met Karen online. I remember that.
Yeah.
I do remember that much. But she has a better memory than me.
Yeah, it was.
As most women do than men.
Is it Fox and Hound?
Yes, Fox and Hounds.
That restaurant up in Quincy. But it went fine. I didn't feel, you know, the initial butterflies, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm meeting his family. But after I met them and we started talking, the conversation just flowed, and I was like, okay, all right.
Yeah, she hit it off good with them. Me, I wasn't nervous about anything. No. I felt, like I said, because after, you know, meeting her family and knowing that, you know, like I said, there was a family of God, I knew that would be big with our family, because I know that's what's in my family. So I knew that we would probably hit it off pretty well and everything would go smooth. I never had any concerns at all when it came to that. Especially,
what did my brother say to you? When you met
nobody really. The only person that was Lenmore, and he asked me, was I gonna marry you? And that was it. He wasn't like interrogating me and nothing like that. He asked me, was I gonna marry you? I was like, definitely. And he was like, good man, good. I can't say like he said, you know, like Jamaican accent. Yeah, I had no nervousness, no concerns. I just, you know, I had already met them, of course, before you guys got to meet them. And like I said, they're a God-fearing family, and I knew that would hit well with our family. And everybody loves her mother.
Yes.
Because, you know, at the same time we lost our mother, your grandmother, and also our grandmother. And what is it, your great grandmother?
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, that's right. Right.
Yeah. Mama was my
our grandmother, your great grandmother. So we lost both of them, the two biggest women in the family, and it's kind of like she kind of feels that to a point.
Okay.
So that's the feeling I get from everybody. That's why everybody, you know, really hits it off well with her, and she's just a sweethearted person in general. Period.
Yeah, she is. That's why your wife is the way she is.
Exactly.
Listen, when you grow up and you don't have a lot, you learn to appreciate the little.
Yeah, you do.
You learn to appreciate the smallest of things. So I said to him all the time, when especially for me with gifts and stuff, the big gifts, don't really. It doesn't do anything for me. It's the small little gestures that's what I appreciate more than anything.
That she flashes her ring in front of the screen.
Oh, yeah. Well, I need a new one.
Yeah. Yes.
No.
10-year anniversary.
No. That's for traditional brides. I'm not a traditional bride.
You already had 3 rings.
It doesn't matter.
Oh my goodness.
It doesn't matter.
You gotta purchase a jewelry store then.
Exactly.
Have some stocks in a jewelry store somewhere.
She still got 2 rings now.
Well, when I turn this one in.
So I was looking at your ring and I'm like, that's not the ring I remember seeing. But
Yeah.
um so okay, you were going to be a stepfather. How did you feel about that?
That was probably my biggest concern because I mean, like I said, I had experience from my prior relationship that turned out not to be, my child.
Mm-hmm.
But she also had an older daughter that I also helped her with. So that kind of helped a little bit coming into this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But it was something I was nervous about because my biggest concern was I didn't want to step on the toes of their fathers. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I want to give them their respect. And I explained that to the kids when we got married. I don't know if you got to watch the wedding, but when I did vows
We did
to
vows to
Karen
the
and I
kids.
did vows to the kids.
I remember my mom told me that. Yeah.
I told them that I'm marrying, Karen, but I'm also, marrying you as, my children. And I'm not going to be there to replace Karen or to replace their father, but, as another person that they can look to as a stepfather.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just my main concern because I didn't want them. You watch these videos sometimes with these kids that they get into a relationship with a woman and they already got kids and they get into an argument. Oh, you're not my father.
Yeah.
I was always concerned about them saying that to me. You ain't my father. Blah blah blah.
That was me. I was that kid.
But that was always a concern of mine, and I didn't want to want that to ever happen. And been nothing but lovely kids to me, and I just enjoy every minute of them. I love being their stepfather. I know Colleen always says to me, "You're not the stepfather, you're the father." But I always, like I said, I try to respect their blood fathers by when I say stepfather. That's the only reason why I say that.
Okay.
Otherwise, I just say father. But that was the biggest concern that I had. How were they going to accept me? And were they going to, were we going to be able to get along? And them worrying about them saying I'm not their father or whatever, and not wanting to be involved with me, stuff like that. But that has never happened.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's really good.
Yeah, because before we even started dating, like really date, one thing I do before I date or start to date or, prospective people, whatever, I lay everything
when we went
out.
on that first date, well, if you can call the date before she went to Florida, Naya was there too. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. You did say that.
Yeah. But I lay everything out on the table. My expectations, limitations, what I will stand for, what I will not stand for, everything goes on the table. So it's then up to that person to say, okay, I can carry this load. Because then I'm like, I don't want to waste my time getting to know you, prepping my kids to know you. Mm-hmm. And then 6 months down the line, you're going to tell me, oh, I can't handle this. I can't do this. You knew up front what you was getting into.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's up to you to decide, okay, I can carry this and I can enhance this.
Exactly.
So he knew about my kids from day one, from the get. And I'm like, having kids and having other, stepchildren, the relationship is always going to be different. So he knew about them and, what to expect and stuff. And then my kids are not, rude kids or anything like that. So.
But they are like the kids pick up behind stuff. You got to constantly.
Oh, yeah. And that's one thing that he's like, with our first year was, he was like, oh, the kids did this. They broke another glass. I'm like, they're kids. They're going to do that. So, yeah, our first couple of years was, kind of rocky with the kids.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, why are the kids in my room? And I'm like, well, they're kids. They're going to be in their parents' room and in their parents' bed.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but
So, before we jump into the comments, because you guys have a lot of comments. So before we jump into the comments, do you guys have anything that you would speak on about blending families?
like for me, my main thing was finding someone that I know wasn't gonna hurt me, wasn't gonna hurt my kids, was gonna love my kids like they were their own. That was one big thing for me. Like finding someone I could trust to the point where if I should leave and go to work, if I work nights and I should leave in my home with my kids, they were girls at that, they're girls. Am I gonna be at work worried that this person is gonna abuse my kids, or my kids are gonna be so terrified that or is he gonna abuse them, threaten them, and then my kids are so unhappy they can't tell me what's going on. So that was my big thing.
Yeah. I'm not. You said about blending families.
Yeah.
Respect. That's one of the biggest thing.
Yeah, I would say that. Just that everybody. Like I said, my biggest concern was that we all got along and we were able to grow with each other. We know it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen by the snap of a finger. It's going to happen as we got to know each other and learn each other, and just being patient. Me being patient with them, but they also got to be patient with me because they're trying to learn me too. So that's probably the biggest thing for me, as far as just having patience and really trying to learn each other as you grow together.
That's good advice. I don't know. You guys are good guests, I guess. So let's start from the beginning. We're on YouTube. Leslie said, "Hi, family," and she told me, "Don't tell you Uncle Mark to be yourself." Tariq said, "Oh, talking about the facial expressions." Tariq said, "The intense look."
Oh yeah.
Um,
I grew up with the intense look.
You did?
Yes. When we were kids, my mom was a reverend in church. She was like a minister. So when my mom's on the pulpit and we're in the audience sitting down, the only thing she would give us is that look. And from that look, like, oh my gosh, I am dead tonight when I go home.
Yeah.
So I grew up with that intense look. But he wasn't the first person to tell me that I look mean or why do I look so serious. They used to tell me that when I was in college, because I don't stay after, I don't hang out, I don't do study groups or anything. I had my thing, I was so focused because in order to get me and my kids from the position we were in to the next level, I knew I had to finish school. So I didn't have time to hang out, I was focused on my work. Even on the trains, I used to take the commuter rail, and that ride from where we lived was like 45 minutes. And the conductors got to the point where they know me so well, like I'll stick my ticket in the slot and they'll come punch my ticket and just leave because no, I'm reading, I'm studying, I'm doing, I'm in my book. So don't disturb me. Don't try to have a conversation because and so that's what it was. I was just really focused. So that's where that intense look comes from. That's where that came from. Is it still that intense?
No.
Yeah, because I'm done with school now.
It was funny because he had left from the hospital when we was working together. So what was it? You was just.
Yeah, I was in that batch that got laid off.
Oh, okay, yeah, because you was going to school full time, right? But she had came back one day, and I just happened to be at the front door entrance. That's my security job. And she came, and she started talking. She was, oh, and then all of a sudden, oh, can I get a hug? I was like, oh, what's going on here? That's the first sign. I wanted to mention it because that was like the first sign that maybe she might like me a little bit or something.
Oh Lord.
It's funny because I'm just thinking of stuff now that I didn't bring up that I forgot about. Then there was another incident where I was dating someone.
Oh, the night he almost got me beat up one night.
But we wasn't really together. It was like a get together.
Yep, a house party.
And she
at
came
his
over.
girlfriend's house. And I didn't know they were dating at the time. So I had to be at work at 7 a.m. So the party run late. And I'm like, I'm just going to crash on your couch and then just leave from here and go to work. So he's sitting down, and because I'm thinking that everybody in the house were just cool and we're all just friends. I had my head in his lap and he's like stroking my hair. And all this time, his girlfriend is sitting on the couch across from us. And I'm like, why is she staring me down like this? I didn't find out until the next day that, they were dating. And I'm like, I could have been shanked.
She wasn't technically my girlfriend anymore.
You guys were dating.
We had been dating, but it was not like that at that time.
Yep.
Oh, Lord. All right, so Tariq says about y'all first kiss. He said, "Aunt Karen, you blew Uncle Mark's socks off." And he also says, "So y'all didn't make it out of the parking lot."
We did eventually.
Aunt Linda said, "So thankful that you left, Aunt Karen. I'm so glad you're our sister."
Oh, thank you.
About the person that we won't name that was your ex-girlfriend, Uncle David said nobody could. When we said nobody could stand her, he was like, yeah, nobody could.
Oh, wow.
And Mommy said you was with her for too long.
Wow.
Let's see. Linda said abusers always try to isolate you from people who you love or who love you.
That's their first move, because then they know that once they isolate you, they can do whatever they want. If you have people in your corner, you always have somebody you can go to.
Right.
And that person might be able to, deter you from that abusive relationship. So that's one of the, I guess, abusers' main thing is, if I can get you away from everybody, turn everybody against you, then I have you all to myself.
Yep. Uncle Mark, Tariq asked you, what was the biggest adjustment you had to make from being single to being married?
Living with a house full. That was the biggest adjustment. Like she said, I used to always complain, the kids this, the kids that, the kids this. Why are they in the room? Why are they, why is the dishes in the sink or whatever, because I lived by myself. And it was much easier to, keep things in order, stuff like that. And that was the biggest adjustment. Understanding that it wasn't just me anymore. It was me and my family. So that was the biggest thing.
Uncle David said that's because you're a good father. I think he was talking about when we were talking about blending families. Let's see. On Facebook, Ida says she loves that she took part in the surprise engagement or surprise proposal. Uncle David was on Facebook too, and he said you guys are a perfect couple. And Ida said about the woman who will remain nameless, or the one that got mad because you let them stay over there at your apartment. She said, yeah, she's glad she's going. And she said, hey, didn't you say that Thanksgiving you were going to ask her to marry you? I guess the Thanksgiving we were at Chrissy's house.
Really? You knew from then?
We had already decided to get married before that.
No.
No,
because we were still having, we were still just talking casually. And, it was like, okay, where's this going? And his main thing was, let's just see how it plays out. When we were talking.
No, I thought it was, because I remember when Leslie, I think it was Leslie, we was all like talking about things that were happening. I thought we had already, what was that?
We couldn't have.
I can't remember.
We couldn't have, because we were just casually, we wasn't even talking about dating.
I don't think so.
Yet.
Uncle David said he thinks so.
He said he thinks so?
Yeah.
I thought it was too. I swore that we had already decided. Maybe I'm wrong. I can't remember. I'm getting old.
Admit that you knew.
I don't remember either.
From then.
I'm getting old.
Just admit that you need that. It's okay. It's okay.
So do you guys have any closing remarks or anything you want to say real quick?
Well, I know before we, really got serious, I prayed hard because I'm like, I don't want to go back. I don't want to get back in another abusive relationship or with someone who's so possessive that they call my phone for the day or they call my job just to make sure I don't go to lunch with somebody.
Mm.
So, I was praying really hard on that. And then everything just fall into place. So for anybody getting into any relationships or anything, if you have to force it, let it go. It should happen naturally. If you have to force someone to, follow you down that path or to believe what you're saying, or then it's not gonna work. It's gonna be a forced relationship the entire lifespan of that relationship. So if you have to force it, let it go.
So because she didn't like to be called 50 times a day, I only call her 25 times.
Oh Lord.
Oh boy, but yeah, same thing. Like she said, just let it, come naturally. Don't force nothing. Don't go into anything looking, don't go into it looking to, this is the person I'm gonna try to marry, or whatever. Let it happen naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you force it, then it's probably not gonna work. If you take your time, get to know each other. I know we hit it off pretty fast, but that's not the normal.
No, it's not.
Most people take a couple of years before they decide, to get married. There are instances like us, but that's not the normal. So whoever may be, getting involved in a relationship, just be patient. Don't rush anything. Don't force anything. Let everything happen natural, and take it from there. And hopefully, it'll end up like us, going on 7 years now. Some people doubted that.
Yep.
And
oh yeah.
But hey, God is good, right?
Yes, he is. So y'all, if you pay attention, you heard some parallels between their story and mine. I told y'all my story before. You hear some parallels, okay? And me and my aunt was at the same place before we met our dream men, okay? So y'all listen to what she was saying and what my uncle was saying, and you'll hear some similarities between what I have told you for the last year, okay? So once again, make sure you like, share, and subscribe this episode, and invite somebody next week to come and watch. And let's see what else. I have 2 slots still open for March 4th and March 25th. Okay, so if you want to take part of the love experience, you need to go ahead and hit me up in the comments or send me a DM. However, I'm on all social media at It's Ashley JW, so you can find me anywhere. I'm everywhere in the streets. I'm just letting y'all know. Okay?
You are not in the streets, girl. You are not a street girl.
So I want to thank you, Uncle Mark and Aunt Karen. Thank you guys so much for participating and sharing your story with us. And I have one more thing to say, y'all. What is your love experience? Till we chat again, y'all.